Hello, I'm Rico Cavella. Welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging, where in every episode, my guests and I, we strive to offer you proven tips and strategies that you can implement immediately to greatly improve your overall health and well-being. So we're here to inspire you and empower you to become your best self so you can go out and make a bigger positive difference in the world. So, before I introduce today's show and our expert guest, I have a question for you. If you wondering how well you are aging, well, I've got the solution for you. Go to my main website, agelessliving.lifestyle.com, and you can take our free aging assessment. And if you don't like the results, you can book a free call with me, and we'll discuss what challenges you're having, and I'll give you some quick and easy solutions that'll get you going on the right track. All right. So the title of today's episode is one I'm really excited about because I'm going to learn a lot myself here. It's the ancient wisdom of plant stem cells for health and vitality. And our expert guest is Jenn Payeur. She's a holistic health practitioner, author, and researcher. She is passionate. She's a passionate advocate for the healing power of nature. In 2019, she founded Nature Provides, an innovative plant stem cell company, and her mission is to educate and empower others on how these unique plant remedies detoxify, strengthen, and rejuvenate the cells in the body, bringing vibrant health to the individual. So, Jenn Payeur, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, this is such a great topic, and it's something we really haven't talked about before at all. So, I guess maybe a good start would be just to tell us a little bit about your history and how you came to really study all and learn about plant stem cells.
Yeah, so as a child, I was very connected to nature. There wasn't a tree I didn't climb, a creek I didn't crawl into. And somewhere along my journey, about graduating from college time frame, I ended up studying finance. I had a finance degree, and I ended up in an office sitting inside for 12, 14, 16, 18-hour days and completely shifted my connection to nature, which, sitting under fluorescent lights, being inside, I was on an airplane quite a bit. And so I had two major health crises that I believe are totally connected to that. The first one happened in 2008, where I had bronchitis, pneumonia, shingles, tachycardia, mono, and was finally diagnosed with chronic fatigue. And that
Wow.
was back in 2008.
Ooh.
And that catapulted me into deep into the health and holistic healing world. I went to a 4-year healing school called the Barbara Brennan School of Healing. I did a 2-year study with the 13 indigenous grandmothers. And slowly, while I was still in corporate America and executive in banking, was kind of laying the bridge and the foundation for my escape and my way out, and really a return to self. And then in 2015, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
Oh.
And at that point, I had enough of the holistic information inside of me to know that cancer is an immune system issue and a toxic burden in the body. And so chemo and radiation really just like my body said, no, 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 no. And so I literally did the army crawl through our healthcare system and in the holistic world to find all of the things that I knew would bring me back into balance. And so in 2017, I left corporate. And for a year, I did a lot of volunteer work. I started an essential oil company because I wanted organic. And then in 2019, I founded Nature Provides, which were these beautiful plant stem cell remedies, which actually were kind of the game changer for my health in bringing me back to my vitality, my wholeness, my health, which is where I am today.
Wow. That's quite a story. Well, tell us for our audience who's not real familiar with stem cells, how does plant stem cells compare to humans stem cells?
Yeah, they're very similar without the controversy. So plant stem cells come from the new growth or the bud on the tree in the springtime. So in that phase of growth, that meristematic tissue is undifferentiated, just like a human stem cell. So it hasn't become a leaf or a flower or a part of the bark or a root. And so in that phase, it contains all of this vitality of the plant. and it has something called juvenile phytohormones that don't exist in adult plants. So those juvenile phytohormones are known to go into the cell, the tissue, and organ and actually pull the toxins out. And if you have a toxic burden, like in my case, I had cancer in my liver. If it's in the liver or in one of your main detoxifying organs, they will recruit another organ in the body to get the toxins out. So really fascinating, the intelligence of this, all plants, but in this phase in particular. And they are symbiotic with human stem cells and with humans. Plants have been around for thousands of years. I look at them as they are our teachers and our elders. And that's where they come from. And so in that new growth, they contain these juvenile phytohormones. They contain stem cells of the plant. They contain peptides and exosomes and amino acids and flavonoids and all the things that we see are manufactured in supplement form. These come from a natural form in the plant.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And so these plant stem cells, they're quite compatible in the human body. Is that right?
They're completely compatible. And again, without the controversy that we have in the human stem cell world. A big part of my mission when I discovered these, I found some research back in 1158 by a woman named Hildegard of Bingen, who was considered the first naturopathic doctor of our times.
Ah,
She talked about getting outside, being in nature, getting sunshine, drinking clean water. And she wrote about the buds of 8 trees. And so that's the first documented research that I can find. And then you don't see anything for 800 years. And then in 1958, a doctor in Belgium started writing about the buds of trees and some bushes. And so from there, you can find a lot more research. But that was a big part of my mission, is to, teach people, educate that this is a modality that is so important in our modern time because we're living in a toxic world.
mhm.
Right? When I think about the aging process, our skin is the number one indicator that we are toxic,
Yeah.
right? Either we break out or we start to age and things like that. And so
Okay.
these
Okay.
are cleaning us up from the inside out.
On that point, I just want to say, if you can see, I got all these spots. That's not a breakout. That I had a bunch of sunspots, from being out in the sun too much. I went to the dermatologist, and she's burning them off. So since you mentioned that, I thought I better say that so people go, well, look at that guy. He's got all these. So let me ask you. So so how did you learn how to extract these uh, plant stem cells?
Yeah, I mean, everything in my life since going through my health crisis has been divine guidance. So I was visiting a friend, and her husband's a chiropractor, and he came out with this tincture, and he said, Jennifer, this has saved a lot of my patients' lives. And I said, oh, that's great. What is it? And as soon as he said embryonic plant stem cells, I felt like I was struck by lightning. And I looked at him and I knew there was so much more to what he was sharing. And 3 months later, I got myself invited to a week-long class on it. And on the last day, the guy said, I'm going to be stepping out to do some other things. And then I got that same bolt of lightning that, hey, this is your mission, lady, take it forward. And we haven't heard about it. So these are all these plants that we use are grown in the Italian Alps in the wild. So they're wild harvested. I'm a gardener, so I had this image of everything being cultivated in rows, and nice and neat. It's not like that at all. I actually go to Italy every year. I take different practitioners to go see the whole process. So in the Italian Alps, all these plants grow. They're in their natural habitat, and there is a very short window of time where that bud is ready to be picked. So they're all hand picked
Wow.
in the Italian Alps. And from the time that they're picked, they need no more than 2 hours before the bud starts to open. So you have to get off the mountain and start to macerate these to extract the active principles. So they're macerated in organic grape alcohol and organic glycerin, and that's it. That is all that is in the bottle. So nothing is manufactured or processed in an unnatural way. Um, One other thing to add, and I know you have a question here, Rico, but another piece that we do is after it's macerated, we pull out whatever plant material has not broken down. We press it, we burn it. That's called spagyrics. It's an ancient alchemical process. And then the ash goes back into this big drum of what's the active principle, and it spirals in a natural way. So, a condensation process that happens that makes it more structured and bioavailable in the body.
Wow. Actually, I'm not sure. What is the word macerated? What does that mean?
Oh, macerated just means that it's soaked in alcohol. So
Oh,
really there are only a few ways to get active principles out of a plant. It's usually some type of alcohol and some type of vinegar. That's really the only two ways. So we use organic grape alcohol because that's plentiful in Italy.
how long has this process been known? Has there been other products out there for a very long time or not?
Yeah, since 1958. And so, there are about 10 books in total written about these. And that was part of what prompted me to write a book. And many of them are outdated and they're old. We've learned a lot of things over the last few years, which I'll share in a minute.
Hmm.
But in the books, they're always talking about 40 plants. And so my curiosity was, well, if they're in these 40 plants, why aren't they in all plants? And they are. And so we have continued to expand our offerings because every plant has an affinity for either an organ in the body or for a system in the body. And so, again, we're living in a time where our air, our food, and our water is pretty toxic. And so I think the name of the game right now is getting the toxic burden out of our body faster than it's coming in.
Yeah, no question about it. Well, how's it determined? What certain plants cells have an affinity for whatever it does for detoxification or for strengthening or whatever. Uh, so how do you determine that?
Yeah, so a lot of that is science. So we know things like milk thistle, right, are going to support your liver, and that's
Mhm.
a thistle. And in that same family is artichoke. So we know artichoke, rosemary, milk thistle, dandelion are all plants that have an affinity to cleaning up the liver. So,
Mhm.
one of the things that we've done in our scientific work is trying to understand what juvenile phytohormones the plants have inside of them, because that's going to determine whether it's going to regenerate something that's broken down in the body that comes from a phytohormone called florigen, or whether it is going to detoxify or drain. These are really known as drainage remedies because they are draining the toxins out of the cell tissue and organ. And so that is really what kind of maps the path of which plant will do what in the body. And that's a lot about what I wrote about in the book was, how do you know and where do you start and how do these work and all of that, which are common questions from people.
Yeah, that sounds so good. But you're doing some great work. Well, I have a short message, and then we'll come right back. Then we'll talk a lot more about your book, and you also have a documentary that's coming out. So I want to
Yes.
hear all about that. That sounds really great. All right.
Now, in just 17 minutes, you can get and stay fit and look and feel your best for life. This will be a life-changing and life-saving experience for you. Yes, it's true. Scientific studies have shown the Fast Fit 17 system is the fastest way to achieve maximum results in the shortest amount of time. This is a true fitness breakthrough. This system was developed particularly for busy people over 40 who know they need and want to get into better shape and have more energy, but feel they don't have the time. Now, time is no longer an issue. We want everyone to take advantage of this fitness breakthrough. So, for a limited time, you can get the entire program for only $17. So don't miss out. Order now at fastfit17.com.
All right, we are back with Jenn Payeur. She's the author of the new book, Ancient Plant Wisdom, and also a new documentary. So tell us some more about what's in your book and, and what can people learn from reading your book.
Yeah, so this is the book. It's titled Ancient Plant Wisdom: How to Improve and Maintain Your Health Using Concentrated Plant Stem Cells. And a big impetus for the book was really to be able to reach people and help them understand that at a time where we really need this modality, it's available. And I talk about how plant stem cells work in the body, why they work. And then I have kind of a mini materia medica in the center of the book. So you can go in and say, oh, what does black currant do? Oh, what does linden tree do? I've
Oh,
never
that's
heard of
good.
that plant. And so you can get a detail of what each plant does, and you can see what the juvenile phytohormones in that. I have a whole section on the different types of juvenile phytohormones. And then I have just regular conditions that many people are facing. Our metabolic health in North America is at an all time worst state. We're at 93% of the population has poor metabolic health.
Mhm.
So, what that means is that chronic illness such as diabetes, heart disease, cancer are on a massive increase in our population. And so, one of the beautiful gifts that these plants provide is they work on our mitochondria. They are cleaning up our cellular health at a time where we need it the most. And, there were things that I learned along this journey that I didn't even know. Like, one of the biggest toxic burdens in our body is from tire dust. I mean, who knew that? I didn't know that. I knew about the air, the water, the food, but we have so many automobiles on the road, and the tire dust is like you can't see it. It's in these nano particles, but we're breathing it in, and it's coagulating our blood.
Mhm.
So that's where these plant remedies shine, and that was really my mission, is to get this out and to also have a guidebook for practitioners if they want to learn more to support their patients. The documentary is slightly different. It's a lot about my holistic healing journey and the choices that I made along the way. I was watching one of your videos, and I love that you recognize that we're not just these physical beings, right? It's about our emotional body. Are we joyful in our lives? It's about, do we have thought processes that affect us? So we are this holographic, being, and it's really important to understand that. And I believe that the healing journey is not just a physical one. The physical absolutely is important, and I work out with a trainer, eat healthy, I do all these things, about these other levels that we can't necessarily see that are really imperative in the healing journey. And so my documentary is called Nature Provides: The Ancient Wisdom of Plant Stem Cells. And it goes through how I discovered these plants and how they were a huge part in getting my cancer markers back down to a normal range and my health to, full vitality. And I mentioned with you, I mean, I'll be 60 this year and I feel like I'm 30. And I think that's who we are as humans, is we are designed to be young at heart, right? And to live, fiercely and powerfully, and to not age, as crippled people. And so that's part of the message in this documentary as well.
Yeah, that sounds so good. What thought came to my mind was, I think it's even mentioned in most religious scriptures that the creative force, God, however you think of the creative force, everything on this planet is here that we need,
Yes.
and that's kind of the game of life, is to discover all what nature has to offer us and how to learn from nature, and that everything we actually need is already given to us. We just have to learn how to utilize it in the proper way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to recognize it. So I think a lot of us, there's a great book called The Last Child in the Woods that I reference a lot, because the author, Richard Louv, talks about two concepts that I think are prevalent at our time right now. One is called nature deficit disorder. And that means that, young kids, are not going outside. They're on technology. They're on
Yeah.
iPads and in
Yeah.
front of TVs and on screens. And, that didn't exist when I was younger. We had to go outside, right? So we were
Right.
outside in the grass and being creative, coming up with games to play. So we're losing that connection to nature, and that's really, it's affecting our health. And the other term he talks about is nature knowledge deficit, which is, we don't even know where our food comes from. 50 years ago, we grew our own food and we knew what was in it. And
Hmm.
we're one of the only cultures in the world that can eat whatever we want whenever we want to have it, right? Because we import food from all over. So we can get strawberries in December. We can get, mangoes in January, even though they don't grow naturally. And I think that is also taking us out of our connection to nature, because we're meant to eat by, our circadian rhythm and our natural cycles and what we grow in our region. And we've kind of lost that connection too. So I talk a lot about how important that is as well.
Yeah, I really like that. I've never heard that before. I really like that nature deficiency. Yeah, that's so true. I mean, it's just so evident, when if you just take the time to get away from the just the normal buzz of the city life and get out into the forest, how much your senses improve, how much better you can see, you can hear, you can smell, and just how you feel, and just connecting with nature. I mean, I love to be out in nature too and hiking, and you're right. We have a serious problem, especially with our children, because all they want to do is be on their screens, and that's so detrimental for the health. So I really appreciate you doing a great service. I really do all I can to help get that more of the same information out to people, that there's an answer for everything, and that we don't have to keep living this way with just such chronic health and people becoming old and sick and dying way too young. So I think you're making a great contribution. So I really appreciate what you're doing. Uh, also in your book, then people can actually go and say, well, this is the chronic illness or challenge I'm having, and you'll have some solutions for most of those
I
different.
do. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have solutions for, probably about 150 different,
Uh,
issues that somebody may be dealing with, and what are the best plants to utilize for those and why. And if there's a combination of plants, I also recommend that as well to support people. I'm very much like you. I'm really about empowering people. We've all got to take responsibility for our health, and I think that's one of the things that we are reclaiming on the planet, is that white coat syndrome that we had for so long, which is, well, my doctor told me to do this, and I'm doing this,
yeah.
as if the doctor knows our bodies better. And so part of it, I think, is getting to know our own bodies. When I had to make a choice to forego chemotherapy and to forego radiation, which is the standard of care, in the United States, I went against the mainstream, but some innate intelligence in my body started to come alive and say, this is not going to support you. You've got to find another way. And so, I've got a healing practice here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and that's a big part of what I do, is help people reconnect to the innate intelligence in their bodies, because that's where our vitality is, right? Our vitality gets covered up with all of the, choices we make, and we're making choices consciously or unconsciously.
Yeah,
Um,
and all the distractions. Yeah, and as you say, innate intelligence, we all have that, and that's what we need to connect with, because all the answers, everything we need to know is inside ourselves. If we can just learn how to connect, slow down, and connect with it. Yeah,
yeah, and that's
that's such a
Enrico,
great
that's the
message.
key. Yes, I mean, that's the key, is we are human doers, but we're actually human beers. And we've got to take those moments to be still, or we're going to miss what's inside of us. That's where that health is. That's where fiercely aging resides.
That's such a great message. Well, I have a question. So, what form do most of your products come for? Do essential oils have the stem cells in
They
those?
It's the other way around. So the plant stem cells actually have essential oils in them.
Oh, okay.
Essential oils don't in this form, just because of how they're processed. But in this form, that's where those juvenile phytohormones reside.
So, are they in tinctures or what?
Yeah, they're in tincture. So I just held
Oh,
up a
good.
bottle really quickly.
Oh,
This
yeah. I like
this
that.
is
Yeah.
called lymph health. So this is good for the lymphatic system. We've got about 140 different plants or combinations of plants that we work with. My husband keeps saying, we have too many SKUs, you got to get rid of them. And then I find a new plant.
Yeah.
Just last year when we were in Italy, I said, oh, we need to have pomegranate, because pomegranate has so many wonderful benefits in it, and feverfew also. So we're going to start adding those this year.
That's so
Um,
good. Well, let's go ahead. We've only got about a minute left, so let's go ahead and tell people where can they find out, where can they get a copy of your book? Is it at your website?
Yep, you
Uh,
can buy the book on the website. The website is nature-provides.com. You need the hyphen in there, because
yeah.
otherwise you'll end up in the UK. We have the book you can find on Amazon, Walmart, Target, and Barnes and Noble. So you can find that anywhere. And the documentary will launch on the 21st, and that will be initially on our website before we start applying to different film festival awards.
Yeah, so good. We'll definitely put that how people can connect with you on your website in our show notes. So we're just about out of time. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing, and thanks for being on the show. It was really great. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Such an honor to be here with you all.
Oh, well, thank you. So, as always, in every episode, we strive to offer you things that, proven strategies and tips and things that can really make a big difference in your world, but you got to step up and take action on it because knowledge without action is useless, right? So, if you like today's episode, tell your friends about the Fearless Aging TV show. Thanks, everybody, for being here.
Thank you.